So it's all happening at the Riverside as we've got one new incoming to talk of and one pretty important outgoing as well. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and yes, it's been a busy day at Rockcliffe as Boro have announced the signing of Dutch attacker Sontje Hansen, and then shortly after, going the other way, was Rav Vandenberg, whose sale officially to FC Köln has been completed. So starting with the new boy then, Sontje Hansen is a player that we have been linked with for weeks. You'll remember back at the very beginning of the transfer window when we were just desperately trying to cling on to any link possible when not much was going on in the transfer window. He was one of the three players that was linked back in mid-July, pretty much a month ago. It was him, Pavel Sulch and Callum Britton, of course. Now, Sulch has gone to Lyon, I believe. That was an attacking player Boro were apparently lining up if the funds for Hackney had come in earlier. Obviously, that move didn't happen. So we've had to wait for another sale to go through, that being Rav Vandenberg, and all of a sudden, Sontje Hansen is through the door. So two of the big three that were linked a month ago are through the door, which is good news for Boro at least. But let's see what the Northern Echo has to say about the signing of Sontje Hansen. So they say on the website, transfer details, as Sontje Hansen does join the club, they've completed the signing of Sontje Hansen with the versatile attacker putting pen to paper on a 4-year contract at the Riverside worth €3.5 million. That might take Boro's summer spend now up towards 9 million, give or take, I dare say. Hansen, who joins from NEC Nijmegen, I'm just going to say NEC. I'm just going to say NEC. He becomes the fourth signing of the summer following Alfie Jones, Callum Britton and Abdoulaye Kante. The signing is a major boost and timely for Boro on the back of last night's disappointing Carabao Cup defeat to Doncaster. Hansen has been a leading target throughout the summer, but as was the case with Britton, Boro had to be patient in their pursuit of the 23-year-old. Hansen? Well, I've just called him Handsome. Hansen is comfortable playing as a winger or in a central attacking role and is seen as an ideal fit for one of the number 10 positions, which of course have been currently filled by Morgan Whittaker and Delano Bergsorg. It says Boro are continuing their efforts to strengthen in other areas of the squad, including up front. Hansen has been on the radar of Boro's head of recruitment, Chris Jones, since he saw him play in the European Under-17 Championships in Dublin 7 years ago. Jones has kept a close eye on him since, with the scouting effort ramped up over the course of the last 9 months. Also, when the forward was identified as a target for the current window, Jones and head of football, Kieran Scott, have watched Hansen in person on several occasions during that period. Boss Rob Edwards has talked about the importance of bringing in versatile players, and Hansen has the tools to fit into more than one system. Hansen's speed and ball carrying ability are two key assets that stood out to the recruitment team and Edwards. The forward scored 6 goals and provided 4 assists in each of the last 2 campaigns in the Dutch top tier. Hansen is comfortable playing across the forward line and is deemed a good fit for one of the number 10 roles, playing off of the central striker. Boro have prioritised versatile players this summer as outlined by head coach Rob Edwards recently, and Hansen can play either as a natural winger or a central 10. Hansen is a product of the famous Ajax Academy, which excites me, and spent 10 years with the Dutch Giants before moving to NEC. He scored 12 goals in 64 appearances for NEC, including one on his debut, and is impressed in the Eredivisie over the course of the last 2 campaigns, catching the eye of several clubs in England. Birmingham were also heavily linked this summer. It then finishes by saying he represented the Netherlands at all age groups and won the Golden Boot for them at the Under-17s World Cup in 2019. Now, that for me sounds like a great signing. It's interesting that it's another one that is versatile. Now, I think what Boro are probably doing there is signing players who can cover multiple positions, because we simply don't have the funds to buy a specialist in every position, which I kind of understand from the position that we are in. And it's very similar to Callum Britton. You know, he was brought in, he can play right wing back, he can play just as a normal full back at right back. So maybe this is Boro bringing in players that potentially fit more than one system. So when I first saw him linked, I thought, winger? Huh? We don't play with wingers. But I guess if he can play as a winger, if he can play as a 10, if we persist with the 3-4-2-1 that we are right now, which the jury's out on whether that's going to work, he could fill in for Delano, Bergzorg or Morgan Whittaker. More likely Bergzorg, I'd like to hope. And with his ability to carry the ball, with his ability to have agility and pace, that could be a huge boost for us in them areas if he can break through in that area of the pitch and hopefully open up space for Tommy Conway and the likes. So if he is a good ball carrier, that kind of reminds me of Morgan Rogers a little bit, which was obviously a player we had not too long ago. I love a player who can carry the ball, drive the ball forward. Hayden Hackney's another. It's something we're not doing much of in the current setup. So if he can bring that, bring a bit of pace as well. Pace is something we desperately need in the team right now. But I guess equally as well, if the 3-4-2-1 doesn't work, we could switch to the old 4-2-3-1 and he could play as one of the wingers on either side. And that definitely a good thing, because when I first saw this link, again, I was questioning whether the way Boro were recruiting married up with the players we were bringing in and the system that Edwards wants to play. And I thought, if he's been scouted for a long time now, which this confirms he has been, we clearly have been looking at him while Carrick was here in the past year or two when we were dead set on recruiting for a 4-2-3-1. So when I saw this link, I thought, are we bringing in a player who we've scouted previously for the previous system and we're just going to bring him in and shoehorn him in to this system? And I was a bit worried about that, but it seems very much like that is not the case and we are going to be bringing him in so he can play maybe both, which is a good sign. And I think 3.5 million for a player that has come through Ajax's academy, done well in Holland, looks a decent signing. And of course, there's another one who we're probably hoping to have a bit of a sell on in the future. No problems with this. I think it's a good signing and another one that hopefully will help. Of course, it's interesting. We were already quite stocked in that position in the 10s. You could argue, obviously, Bergzorg and Whittaker can play there. Azaz, you'd assume, would be an absolute starter. You'd think McGree, if fit, would be a player who could play there too. So it's not a position we're light in. That's the interesting thing about this signing. We've now got 4 or 5 options for them too. Number 10 position. So interesting to see what we do in that position if we have all of McGree, Azaz, Whittaker, Bergzorg and Hansen fit. The chances of them all being fit in Boro's team are very slim, let's be honest. But a good signing, and we'll see how he beds in. Let's move on then to the big outgoing that we've been waiting for. We assume that this is what opened the door to Boro being able to bring in Hansen. Of course, we've been waiting for this breakthrough for a while anyway, because it very much seemed like Boro could not get the rest of their business done unless we made a big sale. It looked like it might have been Hackney, then it wasn't when he rejected Ipswich, and it has now been Rav Vandenberg. And of the two, he's the one I definitely was more open to letting go. I think, firstly, currently, he is replaceable. I don't think his potential is replaceable, but his current ability within the Championship, I definitely think is. I think we can get centre-halves that are probably just as good as him with maybe more experience and get them for far less of what Rav is now worth. So I've got no qualms about losing Rav Vandenberg, and hopefully now this does open up Boro the chance to make a big profit and invest some of that money. So again, on the Northern Echo, it does say Rav Vandenberg's Middlesbrough exit has been confirmed, with the defender completing his €13 million move to FC Köln. Vandenberg has signed a 5-year deal with the Bundesliga club and says he's really looking forward to the next big step in his career. Feyenoord were also interested in Vandenberg this summer, while the defender was also in Crystal Palace's thinking, but says he felt wanted by FC Köln. A sporting director said that they've pursued long and hard to sign Rav Vandenberg. They did make it clear, of course, earlier in the summer that they wanted him. They did put in a few bids that were an absolute joke, to be honest with you. So it's good that Boro have finally got the money I assume we wanted. It does say, against the backdrop, Rob Edwards said he didn't feel it was right to include the 21-year-old in his squad for Saturday's Championship opener against Swansea City. But despite Vandenberg's desire to move, which we of course know is there, he's made it clear he wanted to move on, that's absolutely fine. Boro stood firm until their valuation of the defender was reached, and they've made a huge profit on a player they signed for just £250,000 2 years ago. A sell-on clause is included in the deal, so if Rav Vandenberg is to move on in the future with some of Europe's biggest clubs who continue to monitor him and have been linked in the past, Boro will benefit that significantly. He made 66 appearances in his 2 seasons on Teesside, and in a hugely impressive first campaign won both Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year awards. They then go on to list Boro's statement on the website, which was, short and sweet. And does then finish by saying Vandenberg's exit will strengthen Boro's hand in the transfer market, with the Championship club, having today completed the signing of Sontje Hansen. They're working hard on deals to sign a left wing back, and a striker, two very desperately needed positions. Replacing Vandenberg is not currently a priority, with Boro having signed Alfie Jones earlier in the summer, knowing the Dutchman was almost certainly to leave. So interesting that Alfie Jones was the kind of ready-made replacement for Rav. They knew he was leaving. He made it clear that he wanted to leave, and that's fine. I honestly never expected to have more than 2 seasons out of Rav Vandenberg, if I'm honest. I always thought that would be the max we'd get out of him. Would I have liked more from him? Yes, probably. As it mentions, his first season was brilliant. I think as a 19-year-old coming into a senior men's championship team, one that wasn't the best defensively. He did really, really well. Unfortunately, he was unable to follow that up last season with a number of injuries. He was in and out the team, and plus I don't think his form was great either. So, yeah, I'm happy to see this one come to a close. It's one that Boro have desperately needed to be done. Am I surprised he's gone to FC Köln? Maybe. I honestly assumed his next move would be a Premier League move, or a move to a top Bundesliga club. I think FC Köln, have they just been promoted? I'm not too sure if they have. But yeah, it could just be another stepping stone towards bigger and better things. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Rav Vandenberg continue to move on in his career and maybe be a player who is playing for the national team in a few years' time at a top club in a top league. But I think for what he's worth now, Boro, I think, have got a decent deal. 13 million euros. I don't think it's too bad. I think we kind of needed it. We've stood firm. We've got what we needed. Fair play to the club on that. And once again, it proves that we are very good at signing players and selling them on. He is another one that you can add to the long list, along with Latilath, Rodgers, Akpom, Spence, Tavernier. The list goes on. So that's all well and good, but Boro fans will only praise that if it's reinvested in the right way, and it, of course, does something that we've not been able to do much so far, or do very well so far, and it actually goes towards helping build a squad. So we'll see if that is the case, and we'll see if it does help Boro fund the business they need between now and the end of the summer. Left wing back and a striker would be nice. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this incoming and outgoing. Any insight from any fans who are aware of Sontje Hansen? Let me know in the comment section below. And just your thoughts on the signing, and of course Rav Vandenberg moving on as well. And of course, if you've enjoyed the video, hit a like on the video, subscribe for more, hit the bell so you never miss when any video drops on the channel. We cover all sorts of Boro content and general football content to come, previewing and reviewing every Boro game, and of course just discussing certain bits of news around Boro as well. But until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.